Howdy, folks. I hope that you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me, because right now it's saying that my audio is broken, but I think it's lying to me, because when I was actually testing the audio, it actually was working.
Yes, so yep, people can hear us, so good.
Oh, excellent. Is it good quality? Am I loud enough? Oh, good, good. Howdy, folks. I'm Brian.
I'm Amber.
Here's our January live stream, and we're coming in hot with all the greatest stories that are left over from the month.
As for winter activities, I am staying indoors with a good book or, writing some stuff. I am staying out of that snow as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like there's a lot of votes for the staying cozy indoors option. We have some other, and we have some skating slash snowboarding stuff. I was like, I don't even know what to write here for outdoor activities. I was like, what do the outdoor activity people like?
I know. How much snowfall? It's snowing today, and I don't know how much. We've had a few inches.
Yeah, we actually haven't had a very snowy winter this year,
It's been
surprisingly.
nice.
Yeah. So we actually had a brown Christmas, which is unusual for us. But now, the other day we got like a few inches of snow, and then today we got a few more inches of snow.
I think it's supposed to snow again on Sunday or something like that.
Yeah. So we are in it deep so far. January is not a bad month, but February is a worse month.
And we're almost there.
Oh, hi, Mary from the San Francisco Bay Area. I see you've moved from Nevada temporarily. Hopefully, you're enjoying time with the grandkids. All right, let's actually get started now that everything is going well. So, our first letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for not giving that thing that the money that I made from eBay sale to a complete stranger?" I'm in my neighborhood local Facebook group, and I hardly ever use Facebook, but when I do, I like to go to the for sale section. Anyways, a neighbor was having a huge yard sale to pay for some medical expenses for a family member. I went to the sale, and while most things were junk, I discovered that certain items looked pretty valuable. Well, I often go to Goodwill to buy things to resell, so I had an eye for it. There were about 15 of these items, I'm purposely not sharing what they are, on eBay. And one on eBay sold for $300 a few weeks ago, and the ones at the sale were in better shape. I asked for a price, and I was told $8 each. And I said that I will give you $50 for all of them. We shook hands and we agreed. I put the items up for sale and immediately got offers. I won't tell you how much I sold them for, but the most damaged one I sold for about $415. I work a regular job, and all of the money that I make from reselling goes into savings and investments. I was happy with my recent endeavor, and I shared it to another Facebook group, and that I'm in for people who make money from eBay. While the people in eBay group praised me, someone from the neighborhood saw my post. I assumed that they were also in the group, and they shared how I was a bad neighbor. People commented and tagged me, and that I should have given the money to the neighbor who sold it to me. I ignored it, but a few people called me and came to my house. They weren't dangerous, they were just rude and pushy, saying that the amount that I sold the items for could have helped with the medical expenses. I sympathized with them, and I'll reiterate that the items were mine once they were sold to me, that I don't owe anybody anything. While some understood, a few people have called me a jerk for this. Oddly enough, the family in question never contacted me about the issue. I was removed from the neighborhood group. I also am not sure if the incidents are connected or not, but my tires were slashed and my mail was ripped to pieces and put in my mailbox. I don't have camera, so I don't have any proof. But am I the jerk for not giving the money away? All right, folks, what do you think?
I think OP is a jerk for lowballing them in the first place. I mean, there were 15 items at, $8 a pop, and OP's like, I'll give you $50 for it. Like, this was specifically to help someone in need, and OP only saw it as an opportunity to make money.
Well, I mean, I think it's generally not a bad thing to go ahead and sell stuff on eBay like this, right? People do this all the time where they go around to yard sales and they find stuff and they sell it for a higher price. Where I think OP was kind of morally questionable here was that he knew the specific purpose of this was to raise money for medical expenses, and that this could have helped the family out a lot if he had been willing to be a little bit more, less self-serving, so to speak.
Right. Well, and if they knew they were going to make bank off of this, why lowball it and get it even less money to the people who actually need it? Like, it sounds like OP is just putting this money away to save, which, it's good to save money and whatnot, but like here you have people who are in an emergency situation. They need medical care, money for medical care, and you're going to take more away from their potential profits
Yeah.
just so you can make yourself rich.
So, like I said, I don't think that they are in the legal wrong.
Oh, no, but I
Sure.
think there's something ethically questionable
Yeah.
about that.
And with the way our healthcare system is unfortunately set up, people have to do these things like raise funds and whatnot in order to receive life-saving care. And having a couple extra $1,000 would have gone a long way towards helping them out. And OP could have probably still made a huge profit off of these to sell them, but he could have also let them know how much they could have gone for and been a little bit, I think, less self-serving about it.
Yeah, well, and like, yeah, that would have been like if OP had like helped them sell it or something. Like, there's all kinds of things they could have done. Like, it's unfortunate that they didn't understand the value of these items and
Mm-hmm.
basically sold a lot of stuff for only $50. And
Yeah. So like I said, I don't think that OP is in the wrong legally. I think that he could have done a nicer thing. I don't think that the neighborhood is acting very nicely with
no, you
the.
shouldn't be slashing people's tires or
Yeah, yeah.
tearing up their mail. So the
No.
neighborhood, some of the neighbors are certainly acting like jerks here, and that is inexcusable.
Yeah. Like you don't get to go around damaging other people's property just because you don't like how they acted, right?
Right.
And I think that's a real shame because now like OP may have had a change of heart if people had guilted them or something like that. Whether or not that's right or wrong, I don't know. But the fact now is that I seriously doubt OP is going to have a change of heart with his mail being ripped up and his tires being slashed and all those kinds of other things, right? So I don't think that the neighbors are in the right that are doing this. But what do everyone else has to say?
We are very outvoted on this.
Ooh, very outvoted.
I mean, I get what you're saying, Amber, but at the same time, once you sell the items, you don't have any control over what happens to your items after.
No, that's fair.
That
That's
being
fair.
said, OP should have given them a good offer and not lowball them like that. So technically, they didn't do anything wrong, but ethically, yeah, not very kind. And Mary says, I can see where OP would come off as a jerk, but the object was to sell the items to raise money, and OP obliged, so I'm going to say not the jerk. And then Amy says the only jerks were the neighbors who slashed OP's tires.
Oh yeah, yeah. I agree on that.
And then Mary says, yeah, good intentions are defeated by vandalism.
Yeah, that's I think very straightforward. Like I think we're all in agreement that the neighbors who are doing these terrible acts to OP just aren't good neighbors, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much you disagree with what OP did or not. Resorting to these acts, I think, was just very, very in poor taste. So yeah, a little bit of a spicy one to start things up. And this one does involve some adult themes here, just to warn folks. Am I the jerk for digging my heels in about adult intimate time in a prenup? I honestly can't believe that I'm asking this, but my boyfriend has gotten so mad at me that I'm starting to feel a little crazy right now. Both 34, he had a terrible marriage before me that ended in a dead bedroom. And he's determined to never go back to that life again. Understood. I think that is terrible for him to have experienced. So now he wants a prenup and literally wrote in the prenup that we will have adult intimate time X number times of a week. Or else I get absolutely nothing in the divorce. I already agreed to a 50-50 prenup of the marital assets, and we keep what we came into the marriage with. Now that's not good enough for him. He wants me to prove that I won't stop having adult intimate time with him in the future. I tell him that I can't prove that in the future, and putting something in writing doesn't prove it. Now he says that I must have a guilty conscience if I won't sign these terms, because if I'm so certain that it won't happen, then what's the problem? But to me, it makes me feel like I'm being put into that I'm being used for adult intimate time and not a loved partner or wife. All right, folks, what do you think of this? This is pretty terrible.
It is, yeah. I don't think OP is in the wrong at all. First of all, I don't even know if that's legally
Yeah,
enforceable.
I don't think you can legally enforce this.
Yeah, I think definitely do not sign that prenup.
Yeah,
Probably don't be with this
yeah,
person.
yeah.
Also, it sounds like he wants it so that OP gets nothing, as in he takes all her assets if she doesn't have intimate time with him enough.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly that means,
Well,
right?
I believe in the comments, if I remember correctly, OP actually out earns him,
Oh, I see.
and so
Well, and how can you even promise something like this? What happens if OP ends up in the hospital for like a month?
right.
How can you possibly keep a promise like that?
Well, and if they're planning on having kids, a lot of people need to recover after childbirth and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. It's just like such a ridiculous standard to be like, oh, 1 week, you're done. We're getting a divorce and I get everything.
Yeah, I think that this is absolutely ludicrous. I do not think this is a reasonable request. I think that OP has every right to feel like they're being used for adult intimate time because that's really what this comes across. Creepy, giant red flags
Yeah.
everywhere. If OP gets married to this person, then I can only you know what? I wonder why OP's partner has a divorce from the last from his last relationship. It's like he views adult intimate time as a transactional thing.
Yeah, and like also like he's owed it. Like
Yeah,
you have to do these things for me, and it's like it should be something that is mutual between two partners.
yeah.
Like people have different moods, have different, medical conditions, have different stages of life. Like
Hmm.
you can't just it's not something you put a coin in and you get an output.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So very, very creepy, and do not sign those paperworks. But what does everyone else have to say about this one?
Susum says red flag. Amy says, oof, OP, I'm seeing some red flags here and I'd reconsider this relationship. Also, what happens if OP has a baby? You can't have intimate time for a certain amount of time after you give
Exactly,
birth, or
exactly.
sometimes there are dry spells and low libido. Susum says, so the guy blames his partner that they didn't have adult intimate time. Maybe they didn't have it because he was bad in bed. Mary says, I'm sorry, but you can't demand desire. If boyfriend fails to ignite, you can't penalize OP for not responding. Maybe the dead bedroom was boyfriend's fault. That actually reminds me, one of the commenters was like, okay, you should put in there that he has to, like, satisfy you type of clause in there.
Yeah, I mean, again, like this is a pretty terrible situation. I don't think that OP's in the wrong here. I think that this guy really is just not a very good individual. So, all right. Speaking of not a good situation, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Wanting My Mother-in-Law to Move Out After She Kicked Out My Parents? Hi there. I'm here to ask for some advice and to make my husband see that I'm not the jerk. Here's hoping you all can see where I'm coming from. I'm a 45-year-old female and I live with my children, a 12-year-old female, a 12-year-old female, a 14-year-old male, and a 15-year-old male. And my husband is a 46-year-old male and my mother-in-law is a 65-year-old female. My mother-in-law moved back in with us in 2015 after my father-in-law passed away because she was struggling financially. My mother-in-law is not an easy person to live with, and we struggled immensely at the beginning. But after a few years, we found a way to cohabitate. Then, recently, 3 months ago to be exact, my parents, a 68-year-old female and a 68-year-old male's house burned down, and they have moved in with us while everything is sorted out with the insurance and so on. My boys are sharing a bedroom, as my parents are currently staying in my eldest's bedroom. My mother-in-law has struggled with this and seems to hate my mother being around. My mother has done nothing to upset her or disturb her. In fact, my parents' bedroom is on the other side of the house. She doesn't, however, have a problem with my father and always finds a way to hang out with him. Well, a few days ago, while I was away for work, a massive argument happened between my mother and my mother-in-law. My mother accused her of trying to seduce my father, and there was some inappropriate texts sent to my father. My father immediately showed them to my mother, and my mother responded as if she was my father to see how far mother-in-law would go. And she went far. Well, my mother confronted her, and mother-in-law called the police, saying that she felt threatened, then escorted my parents out of the house. This all happened while my husband was at work and the kids were at school. My parents went to stay at a hotel and explained what happened to me over the phone. When I returned, I gave my mother-in-law 2 weeks to move out. My husband thinks that I'm escalating things and that I should forgive his mother's actions because she is lonely and confused. So confused. Such confusion. For your information, there's nothing wrong with her. She's in good health. So, am I the jerk here for wanting her out of the house and out of my life? For some information, to answer, my husband has not seen the text and pictures his mother, and the pictures that my mother sent to my father. The only reason that he hasn't seen it is because he refused to. But I think that we need to insist because I need him really to understand how nasty she's being. Also, I wanted to kick her out immediately, but my husband begged me to give her 2 weeks so that he can find her a place for her. And my parents are being saints, and they say that I should give him that. My husband has profusely apologized to my parents, but my parents aren't upset with us and only hold my mother-in-law responsible, as it was her disgusting actions that led to this. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk, but I think Opie has a husband problem more than a mother-in-law problem.
Yeah,
Like, it
yeah.
sounds like Opie was uncomfortable with having mother-in-law live here to begin with, and has not been happy with the arrangement. She's just come to a place where she tolerates it.
Yeah.
Now mother-in-law comes over trying to seduce Opie's father. Opie's husband is like, oh, she's just confused. So confused. She happened to send some scantily clad pictures by accident. Oopsie. I can't see these because, I know it's bad enough that I don't want to look at it with my eyes, so I'm just going to pretend like I have no idea how bad it is.
Yes, we call this the ostrich method for avoiding problems. You stick your head in the sand and you make sure not to see any of the problems. See no evil and you'll be just fine.
Yeah, so I would say OP definitely not in the wrong. Definitely mother-in-law needs to go, but also husband, maybe marriage counseling, because the husband needs to get on your side like yesterday. He should not have insisted on having mother-in-law live here, knowing it makes you uncomfortable, and he especially should not be insisting on it now when she has done some horrible things and tried to ruin your parents' marriage.
Yeah, well, and I think that that's actually one of the key points here. I understand that she's a lonely person, and then I understand that, losing a spouse is not an easy thing, and she probably is in a very vulnerable spot. It's been several months since she's lived here. Well, it actually sounds like it's been a couple of years
Since
now,
2015,
right?
so it's been almost a decade.
Oh, I guess I kind of forgot what year it is. So, yeah, I mean, that's a long time. She can move on and date somebody else. Why does she have to go and try to seduce somebody who's in a relationship, right? And there are probably plenty of people out on the market, so I don't understand why she felt the need to go after the other man in the house, so to speak, right? I think it was in poor taste. I don't think there's any confusion here. I think she's just being a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do the comments have to say about this?
So Mary says, uh-oh, mother-in-law lost the high ground with the naughty text. Yeah, nothing wrong with mother-in-law that a new address won't cure.
Yeah.
Amy says, absolutely not. Mother-in-law tried to hit on OP's married father. Also, you have a husband problem if he's not backing you up. Mother-in-law needs therapy. Jod says, she's confused. I don't know, my meds can make me confused at times. And I haven't tried to have adult intimate time with a married man. And Susam says, and if mother-in-law is lonely, she can register in some dating app.
Mm-hmm. Or go out to, like, some activities or any number of things. I mean, certainly, like, I understand loneliness is, a hard thing to live with, but there was no need for this. No need at all. Speaking of no need at all, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling My Husband That I Will Move Back Once My Stepdaughter and Her Family Move Out? I married my husband when his daughter, Trudy, was 22. She is now 36. He was 47 and I was 32. I have 2 kids, a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old now. Both are away at college. Trudy never liked me and that was fine. She has a mother and she was a full adult living on her own when we met. Her parents had been divorced for 6 years when I met her father. We live in a city with lots of tourism, so it was an easy decision to keep my apartment and do short-term rentals when my kids and I moved in with my husband. We also use it for our own town guests, or for our out of town guests, rather. Well, Trudy and her husband ran into some financial problems last year. Trudy and her family of 4 moved in with us. We agreed that after the holidays, I would stop taking reservations for my apartment and they could move in there. They would sign a lease and we would rent it to them without collecting rent so they could build up a rental history and some money. Well, Trudy moved in last October, and it was terrible. She doesn't help around the house, and neither do her kids. Her husband is working his butt off to get money together for them, so he comes home exhausted. And he is more help than her or her kids. The three of them live in dirty dishes. The three of them leave dirty dishes everywhere, dirty laundry everywhere, and the house is just a mess. I have spoken to all of them, including my husband, about this. My son-in-law is the only one who makes an effort. Trudy literally said that I live in her father's house, so I don't get to tell her what to do. My husband did not back me up at all. So I moved out. My apartment is now empty since the holidays are over. I said that I don't want them treating my property like they are treating my husband's home. They are all mad at me for leaving and changing the plan. She actually threatened to sue me since they have signed the lease. I told her to go ahead since I could prove that I never got the agreed upon deposit or first or last month's rent, which we were going to cover to help them start over. I've been here for a week now and it's great. No noise, no mess, so much better commute from me to my work. My husband has been spending a few nights a week here with me. He wants me to come home and give them the apartment like we agreed. I said that I would do that if we went back to his house and it was in good shape. Well, the narrator's voice, it was not. It was disgusting. It smelled bad, like if there were 5 teenage boys living there with no supervision. She saw me looking around in disgust and said that it wasn't her fault that it was a mess because they didn't have their own living space. Yeah, sure. I turned around and I went back to my place. I offered to let my husband move in with me if he wants them to have their own space. He won't because he is retired and he likes where he is at. So, like I said, they are all mad at me. My husband, Trudy, her kids. Trudy's husband is the only one who understands my position. I will no longer agree to let them in my apartment as I will only move back once they leave. All right, folks, what do you think of this one?
Not the jerk. Definite husband problem here, though. Like, what is wrong with... Oh, I assume it's probably because he's not doing any of the work and it has OP picking up after them all the time. Yeah, I'd say stick your ground on this one, OP. You do not need to be picking up after these ungrateful people.
Dare I say OP has a husband problem.
Yeah.
I think that OP not only has an in-law problem, but a husband problem.
Yeah.
I think that these people are showing OP exactly the reason why she should not trust them with this apartment.
Right, well, it's probably a good thing that she didn't let them move in there first because then her apartment would be in the exact state that her husband's home is in.
Yeah, and the thing is this. OP needs to protect her house, and this might be a situation where this house will come in handy now that it seems like her and her husband aren't getting along quite so well. And the fact is that OP has made a very reasonable suggestion here. OP said, oh, you can allow them to live in your house, and you can come and live with me, and he refuses to do this, even though this is actually a really reasonable solution. And it sounds like he's retired, so he doesn't have to do any of the commuting. So I don't know why he isn't just moving in with OP.
Probably it's his house. Like, it sounds like his property is in his name, OP's is in her name. And he might not want to lose that equity or something like that. Like, it's very clear that his child is not taking care of the house, and...
Well, but he doesn't... I don't know how he would lose any equity here,
well, I mean,
right?
I guess, like, yeah.
I mean, they're renting out their house, so it's renting one place or the other place, and OP just doesn't want his house... her house rather, completely destroyed by these people.
Well, I think that like he might be thinking better that her place gets destroyed than his.
Oh, well. That's
what I was trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that. And if he thinks that, then this is even a bigger problem, right? Like if he's actually maliciously being like, I just don't want you to destroy my property, then
Like he wants OP back home to clean up because his house is a mess.
yeah, yeah,
And but he wants his house.
yeah.
He's attached to his house. They can destroy OP's house. It's fine.
Yeah, well, I think you hit the nail on the head there, right? The reason why he's upset is because OP has been cleaning up the house and keeping it in condition, and now he's living in a pigsty.
Yeah, I mean there's like two adults who aren't working in that house, him and his daughter,
Mm-hmm.
who could be cleaning.
Yeah, yeah,
But the only person who's doing any cleaning are, the people who actually are working.
yeah. Well, what do the comments have to say?
All
And
right.
also, welcome, Captain Fluffy Paws.
So Captain Fluffy Paws says, not the jerk. Amy says, not the jerk. Also, you have a husband problem, and his daughter sounds like a nightmare. If someone was kind enough to let me live rent-free somewhere, I'd pull my weight and help out.
Yeah.
Mary says, not the jerk. Let them trash the hubby's property, full stop. The trash behavior cancels all previous plans, and if they had established rental history in the past, they would know this is the result.
Yeah.
And Amy says, OP, you sure don't want to make this permanent where you live on your own? Are you sure you don't want to make it permanent where you live on your own?
That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Like, I think OP should make this a nice permanent situation. It seems like that's best for everyone.
Yeah, and then Mary says, I'm willing to bet the sister-in-law will be exploring, or son-in-law will be exploring other options.
Yeah. That's my thought. That's my thought. Speaking of exploring other options, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for saying that my sister's family can't temporarily move in with me and my wife due to their pets? Strong emphasis on the pets. I'm a 30-year-old male, and I've been married to my wife, Naomi, a 29-year-old female, for 3 years. And we've been together for over 10 years, and we are expecting our first child together. Naomi is currently 6.5 months pregnant, and I'm not going to lie, but her pregnancy is considered high risk, and our doctor advised her to avoid any stressful situations because of it. Well, about 6 months ago, my sister Kate, a 38-year-old female, has bought a new house to build with her husband, Bob, a 40-year-old male, so they can accommodate all of my nephews, who are a 17-year-old male, a 15-year-old female, and a 7-year-old female, and some twins that are 14 months old. Their house is 6-bedroom, extra bathroom is used as Bob's hobby room, and Bob is into a lot of insects and spiders, so he has a few tarantulas and cockroaches, etc. Now to the issue. Latest survey has discovered that Kate's house is not going to is not safe to live in due to some construction issues. I don't know why it hasn't been picked up earlier, but now they have nowhere to live and have started a legal battle against the company responsible for building the house to get their money back. Currently, they cannot afford to buy another house or rent, as prices for places for rent are way too high in the area. Due to this, my sister has asked me if they can temporarily move back in with me and Naomi, since Naomi inherited a large house from her parents, and it's an older Victorian house that still requires a lot of work. So far, we've only replaced all of the windows to keep in the warmth. The house has enough space for my sister and her family, and I said that I can move in, and that I said that they can move in with us as long as they don't bring their tarantulas and other insects with them, as my wife is terrified of spiders, to the point of passing out or having severe panic attacks, and Bob has them escaping frequently. Bob refused. This resulted in a massive argument where I was called a jerk for not providing my sister and her family with accommodations at a time when they need some space over some spiders. Edit, as this has been mentioned a few times, I have asked my wife and have spoken to her about my sister staying over, and it was her choice to agree as long as there were no spiders. I haven't made the decision to myself without asking for her opinion first. Edit 2. I've seen a lot of people recommending that my wife go into therapy over her fear of spiders. She is in therapy over it. However, there is a bit of a complication, as one of her family members passed away due to complications after a spider bite while they were on holiday. I hope this explains why her fear is as severe as it is. Alright folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. I mean, it's very generous to offer to house the people, and I understand Bob's attached to his pets.
Yeah.
But, even if it was like a dog, like, and the wife had a huge dog phobia, she has a right to be comfortable in her own home,
Yeah.
and it would be fair to say, well, we can take you, but not your pets.
Yeah. And I mean, it is unfortunate. I mean, I certainly feel bad that they don't have anywhere to put their tarantulas, maybe they can find a friend or some other family member who would be willing to take the tarantulas if Bob goes over there and cares for them or something like that.
Yeah, or he can find a one-bedroom place to rent to live with his tarantulas while his wife and kids live elsewhere.
One bedroom apartment just for the tarantulas.
Yeah.
This gives me like images of like a tarantula wearing a suit going into work. Don't ask me why, but I just suddenly had this image of a tarantula wearing a suit. I'm off to work, Bob.
Well, and like, they're always escaping too. On top of that, like these aren't even kept in their cage properly. They're always escaping. Like
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
a recipe for disaster.
I think that with the fact that they do escape gives it more credence for the wife to be even more afraid of them. And certainly wild tarantulas, I think, are generally rather tame from what I understand. They don't generally bite people. They will if they feel threatened or if there's a situation where they feel backed in a corner or something like that. So I really think that this is a bad idea, especially for somebody who is terrified of spiders. Like that might not end well for the spider,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's another thing that you have to consider is the welfare of the animals here. If she gets into a panic attack and accidentally smushes one of the spiders, he's going to be upset, right, about that. And he would have every right to be upset because this is his beloved pet, but that's a risk when somebody is also really afraid of something like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So certainly I think that they need to figure out some other arrangement, and that OP isn't not looking out for them. He just made a rule that you have to go find a different place for your spiders in the interim.
Mm-hmm.
What do the folks have to say?
So Captain Fluffy Paw says it is your right not to allow the pets in the house. The sister should have the pets be washed at a friend's house who can care for those pets, especially due to the wife's fear.
Oh, yeah.
Amy says, eek, nope, 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 no spiders in my house. But also, pets are a huge issue when letting people stay with you. Even if it was a normal pet, you're allowed to not have pets on your property.
Yeah.
Captain Fluffy Paw says, plus having the fear and his wife being really pregnant right now, best not to risk it.
Yeah, well, in the high-risk pregnancy, right?
Yeah, and then Amy says, oh, good point, stress isn't good for the baby. Susum says, to be fair, these spiders are not worse pets if they are kept safe, but not if pregnant wife has actual phobia, then the spiders stay out of the house. And Starriness says, therapy gets you able to handle, not cure the fear. My mother is arachnophobic and has been through therapy.
Oh, and welcome, Starriness. Welcome. Speaking of unreasonable requests, unreasonable requests, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling my mom that she has zero rights to name my wife and my child, and her opinion is not wanted or important right here? My mother is being a terrible mother-in-law to my wife right now, and I snapped at her recently over this, and have laid some boundaries down, but I am questioning my reaction to her. So, my wife Kenzie, a 25-year-old female, and I, a 25-year-old male, have been married for just over a year, and we're expecting our first child this year. This will be my parents' first grandchild, and this has caused some ridiculousness from my mom. She has aimed most of this at Kenzie, but I did step in when I learned how pushy my mom was becoming. This started right after our pregnancy announcement. My mom went to Kenzie and told her that we should name our child Roger if we had a boy and Elizabeth if we had a girl. Roger was my grandfather, and she wanted to name Roger was my mom's grandfather, and she wanted me to name one of my brothers Roger, but my dad vetoed it every single time. Elizabeth is her favorite girl name, and my dad vetoed that for my sisters as well. Kenzie told her that we weren't really looking for any name suggestions, and we had discussed a few names already. My mom told her the names were important and should be used. Well, a couple of weeks after the first incident, my mom asked Kenzie if she knew whether the baby was going to be Roger or Elizabeth, and Kenzie told her that none of those names were in the running, and we just didn't know yet. Kenzie mentioned that Mom was bringing up the names to me, but then downplayed how pushy she was being, so I said nothing at that point. We learned that we were having a boy, and my mom became so pushy that she ordered blankets and clothing with the name Roger embroidered on them. The first that we knew of this is when she gave us a little door decoration with the name Roger on it. I told my mom that we hadn't finalized the name yet, and we wouldn't be announcing it until after he's here anyways. She went to Kenzie yet again and told her that she was mad by refusing to comply. They argued about it, and Kenzie told me about it afterwards.
Refusing to comply.
Yeah, I know, exactly. You must comply with naming your child Roger. I went and talked to my mom and made some things clear, and she asked why nobody in this family wanted to use the names that she loved. I told her that was something that she should work through herself because we are not obligated to use them. She then sent a gift package with all of the clothes and blankets with the name Roger, and she sent them to my wife and posted them on social media. This made people assume that we had chosen the name Roger. This is when I lost it, and I went over to confront her about the pushiness. She told me that this was important to take her opinion on board as my mom and our son's grandmother. And that's when I told her that she had zero rights to name our baby, and her opinion wasn't wanted or important here. My mom told me that it was rude to dismiss her opinion and her feelings as being unimportant, and I should have more respect for her. It made me realize that we need some space from her right now, but also, I do wonder, did I go too far? Am I the jerk here? All right, folks, what do you think? A little bit of a rough one. The grammar wasn't the best.
Yeah, definitely not the jerk here. I mean, the only people who have a say in the name are the parents of the child, and the way she tried to manipulate the situation, going to the wife and trying to like be like, you have to comply with my wishes, and then posted this Facebook thing, knowing that everyone is going to assume the baby's name is Roger to try and pressure them into accepting the name. Like, I would say at this point in time, go no contact with her at least until the baby is born. Make sure she's not there at the hospital, and make sure everyone knows the baby's actual name. Like,
yeah. I do want to interject here real quick. Bye, Mary. I'm sorry that you're having so much internet issues. And welcome, Sakura. Yes, so that's all I wanted to say. Sorry, I was like processing both things. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. And I think that they do need to go low contact with the mom in the meantime. This is clearly very much out of line. Like, she should not be being this pushy, and the fact that she posted this online to basically try to force their hand, like, who does that? Like, this is just absolutely ridiculous. Like, she's being beyond pushing. She's literally trying to name the child this.
Right. Well, and like, I understand her frustration, but the time to have this battle was with her own kids, not, oh well, now I get to name my grandkids.
So yeah, what do the comments have?
So Jot says, this is like the 7th story I've heard of a grandparent trying to force a name on their grandchildren.
It happens so often. It's so weird.
Amy says, I'm glad husband is being a good husband in this story. So refreshing, so not the jerk. OP and wife get the final say with naming their child. Captain Fluffy Pants says, not the jerk. It's one thing to just suggest those names and leave it. It's another to force the name. Mother-in-law needs to chill the heck out and accept her role.
Fluffy Pants, Amber? Fluffy Paws.
Fluffy Paws, sorry.
Fluffy Paws.
All right, you can read the rest of the comments.
No, I'll let you.
Glad OP is calling her out. Go low contact. Susum says, give mother a gift, 2 dolls, a boy and a girl, so she can have her Roger and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Amy says, mom sounds incredibly unhinged with her pushiness. This is a great way to not get to be a part of her grandkid's life.
Yeah.
She should get a pet so she can use those names. And then Captain Fluffy Paws says, also, she loved the names so much, get the pets and name them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, I do want to comment on one thing right here. This is something that she probably needs to go into therapy about. I think that this is, certainly I can understand her disappointment. And it sounds like she has a lot of children, so hopefully one of them will eventually use these names, but she can't force someone to use these names. And I really do feel bad that she feels like her opinion on these names are being disregarded and dismissed, but you can't force someone to name the children a certain way, right? So, yeah. Speaking of terrible situations, this one's actually pretty awful, folks. I want to give you a real warning that this one is horrible. Our next letter is titled, For Telling My Parents That They Repulsed Me and Informing Their Friends the Reason after learning that they harassed my late wife to write letters to our kids before she died. And this one does involve a death from
Death
by
of a
the death of a
spouse.
spouse and cancer and whatnot. So it's a pretty sad one. I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to sit it out for a second. So I'm a 28-year-old male, and I was married to Amy for 6 years, and we had 3 children together. Our sons are now 10 and 8, and our daughter is 6. Amy passed away 2 years ago from cancer. She was sick for a little over a year and had a terminal diagnosis for 8 months. I helped care for her, Amy, and home with the help of my family, her mom, 4 siblings, and even the grandparents before she died. After her death, she appeared peaceful. But Amy's twin, Ivy, recently discovered that towards the end, Amy had been dealing with some nonsense, courtesy of my parents. Per Amy's diary she kept before she died, my parents had requested that she write letters to our kids telling them that she wanted them to have another mom, so someday soon, and that she wanted them to promise to have their hearts and minds open to that and not to treat my next wife as just my wife, but as a stepmom, but as a mom, and not just as a stepmom, but as a mom. They also wanted to tell her, have the kids. They also wanted her to tell the kids to ask me for a new mom within a few months of her death. She was supposed to tell them that was her dying wish and all sorts of nonsense. Amy had told them that she had recorded the videos and wrote letters, but those were not the words that she put in either. My parents hounded her every second that she was alone with them while they were visiting and made her so distressed in the end. According to the diary, my parents told Amy that she was a terrible mother and selfish person for not urging us to move on and find another wife and mom once she was no longer here. I read those pages myself and I was furious. Even more so because my parents have been urging me to date and explore the prospect of remarrying, and when I said that I had no interest in that, they told me that it's what Amy would have wanted for me. They even brought up in the last few months that my kids will grow up without a mom, and argued when I told them that they will always have a mom, because she died while they were so young. I texted my parents that I knew what they had done and to stay away from the kids. They told me that they had done nothing wrong and they had no regrets about their actions and they only did it to make my kids' lives better. They pushed me over the edge and I drove to their house to tell them face to face that they repulsed me, to harass a dying woman and harass my wife, to make her final weeks more stressful than they were already. I told them that they were sick. I didn't realize when they started that they had friends over. The friends came out to find out what was going on and I told them what my parents had done. Then I left. My parents tried to defend their action via text, saying that I should be so hurt and angry at Amy and not them. When I ignored them, they told me that I had no right to humiliate them in front of their friends. My siblings also told me that I shouldn't have said anything to my parents. They said that I should understand that they were putting me first. I asked them if they thought that our parents would have harassed me the same way if I had been in Amy's place. And they couldn't deny that my parents wouldn't have. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think of this horrible story?
Yeah, definitely not the jerk here. The parents are definitely horrible people for
Mm-hmm.
doing that, and I could understand OP not wanting to have contact with them again. That's an unforgivable thing.
Yeah, I think that this is unforgivable at this point in time. No contact totally with these people. Like, no one, they have no decency, right? And the fact of the matter is that they harassed a person in their low point and because they wanted to because they were selfish, they wanted
Mm-hmm.
their agenda being heard and whatnot. And I can understand them having a conversation about some of these things, but then again, I actually think that that would have even been really in poor taste, right? This is something that you needed to decide on your own whether you wanted to be in another relationship or not. And the fact of the matter is that again is like your decision at the end of the day. This isn't
Mm-hmm.
something that your children should be pressuring you into or not. Like, your children, need to stay out of your love life, and your parents for sure need to stay out of your love life. So I don't think that OP is wrong here. In fact, I mean, I can't blame them at all. I think that this is just like garbage behavior out of these people.
Mm-hmm.
But what do everyone else have to say?
So Sakura says, not the jerk times 1,000. The parents are so horrendous for this. OP should go no contact forever.
For sure, for sure.
Susum says, dump all the family. Siblings don't sound great either. Amy says, not the jerk. OP's parents are unhinged and so disrespectful to the late wife. I wonder if they did like if they didn't like the late wife to begin with,
Yeah.
and had another woman in mind for OP, but good on OP for defending Amy. Captain Fluffy Paw says, not the jerk. That topic should only be talked about with OP and his wife. If they really cared for their grandkids, they should have been there to comfort them, not replacing their mother.
Exactly.
Absolutely no
Exactly.
contact. And then Amy says OP's wife was smart for documenting her treatment.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's so sad. I really have a problem with what the parents did here. Like
Mm-hmm.
what they did was just ethically immoral, just
Mm-hmm.
pure immoral. And you don't get to pressure people into putting stuff into their will or not, right? And I think that this is just terrible on so many levels. Speaking of terrible on so many levels, this one's not as intense. So, am I the jerk for ruining Christmas and being upset? The only gifts I got from my family were joke gifts. Some background. My family likes to play pranks at Christmas and birthday gifts, and it's nothing new. I'm a 21-year-old female, as well as my 5 siblings, from 29 to 37 years old, have all been pranked on our birthdays and Christmas, and it's usually only a gift or two. This Christmas, though, I was the only person to get all joke gifts. For example, I unwrapped a MacBook from my brother, but when I opened it, it was just some chocolate, which I don't eat, so I gave away. And the MacBook was actually given to my sister's inside of a bag that she wanted. Another gift was what I thought was a book that I put on my Christmas list, and it was actually just the book cover on a dictionary. When I asked my mom about the book, she told me that she gave it to my sister-in-law. This went on with each present my sibling or parents had given me. The AirPods, it was just a charger block. Adapter, the gift cards were used and they had a $0 balance. A card with Monopoly money. And so on, so totaling about 12 gifts in total. I realized that I went out of my way to get everyone something that they had wanted or that they would like, and I didn't get anything. At this point, I was bummed, so I went to the living room to watch TV with my boyfriend. At dinner, they were all talking about how much they loved their gifts when my dad asked why I hadn't said anything about mine. I said that there wasn't much to say. Everyone but my boyfriend laughed, and my mom said that it was no big deal as everyone else got some joke gifts. I told her that every gift that I got was a joke, and that the only ones that they got was also filed by a real joke. I mean, by a real gift. My dad told me that I needed to relax as I'm making a big deal about it, and I would have next Christmas to get the stuff on my list. Not wanting to go back and forth, I told my boyfriend that I wanted to leave and that we can spend the rest of Christmas break with his family, then go home. My family got mad at me and told me not to go and just to stay because it wasn't serious. I left and I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and then the drive by, for the drive, by the time that we got to my boyfriend's house, I had several missed calls and texts from them calling me names like ungrateful, sensitive, and childish. They said that I ruined Christmas and that I made my parents upset because I left. The next day, I exchanged and opened gifts with my boyfriend and his family, and one of the gifts that I had gotten was a book that I wanted. The book that my mom pretended to give me. I posted on Instagram the story, and not even 0 minutes after posting it, my sister sent a screenshot of my story to my family group chat, and they basically got mad at me for leaving and telling me that I ruined Christmas over some presents. They told me that I owe everyone, especially my parents, an apology because my mom spent New Year's sad because of my actions. Now, I just want an outside opinion. Am I the jerk here? Am I in the wrong for being upset about the gifts and for leaving? After reading their messages and sitting on this for a few days, I'm now feeling like maybe I'm upset over nothing and I need to apologize to them. Going to edit here as there may have been some misunderstanding. My Christmas list didn't include expensive gifts, nor was I upset that I didn't receive expensive gifts. I was merely upset because of being pranked on with everything that I got and being the only person who didn't get a real present at all. Another thing that I'll address is that I didn't do anything to my family which would warrant this. The last big argument I had was with my sister, which was over a year ago, and a year and a half ago rather. Thank you for all of the replies, and I will try my best to reply to the comments while I'm at work. Editing once more to add that I participated in joke gifts when I was a kid, and I haven't participated in the last 10 years plus because I didn't enjoy it or find it funny, which they do. I will reply to more with more information if I'm needed to. I'm on break, when I'm on break, or have time to reply. And I'm familiar with the term scapegoat, but truthfully, I don't understand it, so I will research that as well. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk, and the parents and other family members can say something when they get all joke gifts for Christmas.
Yeah, 1 second. Welcome Tuesday. Yeah, I mean, I think that's really what it boils down to. I mean, like, they got her all joke gifts, and I don't think that OP is in the wrong for being upset by that.
Right. It just seems like the family doesn't like her for some reason. Like, it very clearly signals that we don't like you and we are punishing you for something. And just the way they're like, oh no, you're ruining everything. No, they ruined everything by being jerks.
Yeah, I don't think that OP is in the wrong here. I think that what's gone on is that they've played a cruel joke on her, and they forgot to balance this out with actual gifts. And it sounds like OP actually went out of their way to get them nice gifts, but they are kind of like making her the butt end of this joke.
Well, I don't even think they forgot. Like, they know that OP doesn't like these gags, and
Yeah.
they may have been trying to. I don't know what exactly they were doing, but it just seems very cruel. And like, why didn't they have some real gifts or anything? Like, for them all to just gang up on her and like give her nothing, it seems deliberate.
It does seem deliberate. It really does. What do the comments have to say about it?
So let's see. Tuesday says, considering your age gap between OP and the last sibling, I think some old feelings are just welling up now. Sakura says, this Christmas, though, I was the only one to get all joke presents, not the jerk that alone gave it away. Jot says, Christmas pranks are the dumbest thing ever. This is like the family who gave OP only coal and then complained when she wasn't happy to be mistreated. Captain Fluffy Paws says, not the jerk. I might be the petty one for this. For next year, just give them the same joke gifts and then leave early.
Yeah, just re-gift all the joke gifts.
Sakura says, OP's family is awful. They ruined their own Christmas. She should go low contact and spend time with her boyfriend's family more. Amy says, not the jerk and OP's family sucks. I'd go completely no contact, and the difference between OP and OP's siblings is they all got at least a few legit gifts. I just don't understand the thought process here. OP's the one who's owed an apology, not these jerks. Sakura says, jokes / pranks are only funny when everyone involved is laughing and having a good time.
Yeah.
And then Susum says, I think they should just give joke gifts to everyone or give some decent gifts to everyone. OP didn't ruin anything. The family sounds nasty.
Yeah, I mean, I agree on all that. I think we have enough time for like 2 more letters here. So let me see. Which one was the one we were planning on ending on? McDonald's? Ah, yes. So this is the one we're going to end on, folks. But we're not there yet. Will I be the jerk if I serve my mother-in-law McDonald's? Because she always complains about my food. So we're almost there. But for now, we're going to read this one. Dealership ripped me off. I'm a 32-year-old female, and my boyfriend, a 37-year-old male, doesn't seem to care. How do I get him to care? Well, you can't, probably. If he doesn't care, he doesn't care. Well, I just had the most frustrating moment with my boyfriend of 3 years. So much so that I'm reconsidering the relationship as a whole. He just doesn't seem to understand why what he said was wrong. My boyfriend, a 37-year-old male, is a very passionate person about cars, and he takes his cars to very specific dealerships. I, meanwhile, almost know nothing about cars besides basic maintenance. I used to get my oil changed regularly at a chain oil place, which my boyfriend found out about and told me that they were bad, something about their lifts that they can damage the frame or something like that, and told me to stop going there and instead start doing my maintenance at the dealership where he takes his cars. Well, it was time for an oil change, and I brought it in to his recommended dealerships. And long story short, they tried to charge me $300 for oil change and gave me a checklist of urgent things that I needed done to my car. New spark plugs, new tires, and all new brake pads and rotors and new filters. That is a lot of maintenance for a car to go in for an oil change. Like, either OP's a car has not had maintenance being regularly done to it, or these people are trying to rip them off, which all totaled over $2,000. Imagine going for an oil change and then being like, you need to pay us $2,000. I negotiated the payment at the window for a better deal on the oil change because I was used to paying more like $50, but they explained how my car needed special type of filter and they used all synthetic oil and that the $300 was correct. In that case, I mean, if you ever find yourself in a situation where someone is overcharging you for car maintenance, you have a right to refuse service. And at a certain point, you can say, no, I'm going to take my car to a different place and get it changed. Because at that point in time, what someone is trying to do is rip you off. And you can actually refuse service. You can move your car to a different place and have them take a look at it, and you get a second opinion.
It sounds like they didn't quote OP up front and didn't give OP a quote until it was already done.
Yeah, and that's actually illegal in a lot of places. If they've actually done work and they didn't tell you about it, then you have every right to basically say, no, I don't want you to do this work. And if they do, you can take them to court. You can do all kinds of other things. I got home and I told my boyfriend what they charged me and showed him the list of repairs that they had suggested that I come back for. He said that this was ridiculous and that the oil changes there were $40. We compared my bill to his, and they used the same amount of oil and the same number of hours of labor. It's just that his labor per hour was $50 and mine was $400. $400. He also checked my tires, brakes, and spark plugs and said that none of them needed replacing. I was so mad. I told him that I suspected that they were overcharging me based on the fact that I'm a woman. He replied, I don't think that's the case. It's just a stupidity tax. They saw you and saw that you didn't know anything about cars and charged you accordingly. I told him that I'm never taking my car there again and urged him to do the same, but he said no, that I could do whatever I wanted to, but he planned to continue taking his car there. This led to an argument, and I asked if he was okay with supporting a business that took advantage of people. He said that it didn't matter to him since he was car smart and he knew enough not to be ripped off. I told him that I felt insulted, and he indirectly called me stupid. And his reply was, well, do you know anything about cars? No, so you are kind of stupid in terms of cars. You can fix that by learning more about cars. I feel insulted that he called me stupid and upset that he took the side of the dealership, upset that he won't admit that this was sexist, and just overall hated his response. How do I navigate this? Well, my very direct response to OP is dump your boyfriend. That's how you navigate this.
Yeah, my voice is gone, so my answer is going to be very short, but they're scammers, dump boyfriend, that's all.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard Amber. She's very quiet here. Her voice apparently has given out. Poor Amber. So, I kind of monologue through this one. So I think like my response there is pretty much what I was going to say about this anyways. These people are clearly taking advantage of people. What their motivation is, I don't think is super important. But I think if they're being sexist, that's even more important to consider here. Like if they are taking advantage of people regardless of whether or not they should have some ethics here is really what I'm saying. I understand that being a car dealership and a car repair place, it's sometimes hard and you need to make your money, but that doesn't mean that they get to go around ripping people off, right? So I don't think that OP is in the wrong for wanting her boyfriend to boycott a place that does shady business practices. I think that OP has every right to make this request. But let's see what some of the comments have to say here. So I'll read the comments since I think Amber's voice is gone. All right. Let's see. Where are we? So I think that they should the joke gifts. Oh yeah, there we are. So Sakura says, not the jerk, reminds me of that one Darman video where the dealership was targeting women and scamming them out of money. I haven't seen Darman. I've heard of Darman, surprisingly, but I have not seen it. And Amy says, you get the boyfriend to care by throwing him away. car dealerships are gross because they're notorious for their misogyny by ripping off women and mansplaining that there's made up stuff wrong with the car. And Captain Fluffy Paws says, not the jerk, sue the mechanic. And Amy says, this actually happened to me with one car repair place. It wasn't until I had the thing paid for and taken care of that I would get an email about additional stuff wrong with my car. I fired them. Good. I'm glad you fired them. And Jot says, they were definitely being sexist and he's fully in support of it. Sakura says, they saw that you didn't know anything about cars and charged you accordingly. Wow, that is insulting. I agree. That is pretty insulting. Dump the boyfriend. And Captain Fluffy Paws, I also would dump the boyfriend. I think we're all in agreement about how much we will dump the boyfriend here. And Tuesday says, wow, I can't believe a person who would be on the side of the scammers here. Imagine that this is any other field. We charge $2,000 for this surgery instead of $200 because you don't know anything about medicine. Yeah, I mean, that's actually a really good analogy, right? Like your doctor doesn't charge you more because you don't know anything. They just charge you more because insurance is terrible. And at least in the US. And Susum says, new boyfriend and old car repair place. I agree. Amy says, ugh, throw this jerk away. You shouldn't have to be a car expert to not get ripped off. Otherwise, I would save my money and fix it myself. And Seriousness says, I had a dealership that would try stuff with me. Luckily, I know cars. That way they treat women, the way they treat women isn't right. Agreed. By the way, I'm eating ice cream now that I got as a Christmas prank present. I still got actual presents too. Yeah, I mean, I hope you're enjoying your prank Christmas present. I mean, that's a good prank. Like, I would be happy to get a prank ice cream. As long as it wasn't like gross flavored ice cream. Is it gross flavored ice cream or is it like an actual like real flavor of ice cream? It's not like, like they had those jelly beans, the Harry Potter ones, where some of them tasted like terrible. This was a big thing back in the day. Back in my day, they used to sell us jelly beans that tasted terrible. I think we'll go to tea time and then we'll read our final story. How's that sound for everyone? Oops, that's the wrong screen. Oops, yeah, here it is. All right, folks, it's tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. Amber, she has a joke. And apparently Susum's has normal chocolate ice cream.
Where do skeletons peddle their used goods?
Where do skeletons peddle their used goods? Well, they peddle them with bicycles, for one, right? And so they can't go too far because they're pedaling. And so they bring their used goods on a bicycle somewhere within bicycle range. And I mean, since skeletons don't have a lot of muscle, I can assume that it has to be within a very short circle. So I'm guessing that it's just downtown.
At graveyard sales.
At graveyard sales. That sounds quite grave. And what do people say? What do they have for tea time? So peppermint tea for Tuesday, watermelon bubbly for Amy, rose black tea earlier today for Captain Fluffy Paws, and dandelion tea. Dandelion tea is actually quite nice. Quite nice. Chocolate tea from Sakura, and black tea for Jot. But the question is, what kind of tea do I have? I didn't set up my poll today. I think because we're kind of running behind, but I'll let you guess real quick before I finally reveal my tea. Oh, Jot says A. Amy says licorice spice. B for Tuesday. Megan, we got an Earl Grey. We've got a Mega Mint. We've got a licorice spice. Peanut butter tea. Peanut butter tea. I haven't heard of peanut butter tea.
Probably David C makes it.
Yeah. And we got another Earl Grey, and I will reveal the answer. I have Earl Grey. So congratulations to Starriness and Jot. Let's move on to our final letter. Our final letter. Oops. Here. You can't see what I can see, but now I can see it and you can see it. Will I be a jerk if I serve my mother-in-law McDonald's because she always complains about my food? My mother-in-law and I don't get along because I'm not who she wanted for her son. She had this X in mind when she thought of who her daughter-in-law would be. It doesn't help that we've established some boundaries with her, which she knows is because of me, and my husband always let her do whatever she wanted, even if it made him uncomfortable before he met me. She's passive aggressive, so we don't fight. She just says some shady comments, which I respond to. Mary, what do you mean by that? Please explain to me, since my English isn't my first language, which drives her crazy. Every 6 weeks, it's my turn to host a family dinner. I have never complained, never have okay, sorry, I just misread that for a second. I have never had complaints except to cook more, so people always can take stuff home with them. Mother-in-law, though, always complains that everything is too spicy, or doesn't like the texture of food, or it's always something. The last time I hosted, she said that she would rather have, Maxie's, I don't know what that is.
Maxie's, McDonald's.
Oh, Maxie's, is that what they call it? And she only ate after my husband told her off. There were 0 spices in the food that I made for her, except if you count black pepper and garlic as a spice. It's my turn today, and I'm almost done cooking while my husband cleans the house. Will I be the jerk if I gave my mother-in-law what she wants? McDonald's, since she can't stomach my ethnic food. My husband told her to do. My husband told me to do it, but being the people pleaser that I am, is telling me that I would be the jerk if I did this. I mean, the insults to my cooking aren't that bad since she's passive aggressive, and my husband always calls her on it, and she apologizes or cries about menopause making her act this way. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. She doesn't like your food. She's being a jerk on purpose. Just give her McDonald's.
Yeah, I mean, I think if she wanted McDonald's, she said that she wanted McDonald's, and I think that OP wouldn't be in the wrong for giving her McDonald's. I think that this is one of those situations where she's made a very specific request. She said in the past, oh, I would rather eat McDonald's. So just start getting her McDonald's. I mean, why make food for someone who's not going to appreciate it?
Or don't invite her if she's going to be a jerk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the optimal thing would be not to invite her if you could. But, yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things where this is clearly like veiled racism, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the food.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being racist. And she wants to be racist. And so just let her have her McDonald's. If that's what she wants, just feed her the McDonald's. So let's see what folks have to say about this one. As someone who loves to cook and is pretty good at it, I will refuse to cook for someone who's going to have nothing but negative stuff to say about it. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that on that, Amy. Mother-in-law can have chicken butt nuggets because she's being a child. Yeah, I mean, chicken nuggets. Give her the chicken nuggets. And Sakura says, Mackey's is the UK name for McDonald's. I didn't know that. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. Tuesday says, and there's also racism. Great. Yeah, I know. The racism, like, people are, why racism? Why racism? That's what I want to know. And Susum says, time to stop inviting mother-in-law, and I think OP really needs to serve some fast food to her. I agree on that. And Sakura says, you will not be the jerk. You would not be the jerk. Oh, yeah. It was in parentheses, and when I see the stuff, I read it. And Captain Fluffy Paw says, not the jerk. Don't complain about the food except to the chef. Don't complain about food and expect the chef to keep serving the food. She stated what she wanted, and you just remembered, making her dish more spicy and giving her the opposite effect. I actually think, and Susum says, I actually think it's sad how people often say it wasn't that bad when they should be standing up for themselves. And Amy says, at least the hubby has a back. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that the husband is actually standing up to this. So I think the moral advice today, if I could say some moral advice, is don't be racist.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, that is a nice moral to the story, folks. I have not changed when our next live stream is. But I will tell you, folks, that our next live stream is going to be on the 23rd of February. And folks, we have an extra day this next month. It's going to be 29 days in February. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us on this live stream. Apparently, I too am losing my voice by shouting constantly into the microphone. I really need to not do that. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you for joining us. I had a lot of fun, and I hope you did too. And Amber is looking at me with a remorse in her eyes about the end of the live stream. She is sad that it's ending as well. Bye, Tuesday. Bye, Starriness. Bye, Amy. Bye, Sakura. Have a great weekend, Amy. And have more tea and get that voice back. Yeah, I just need to, like, drink more, right? Isn't that the way it goes? Bye, Starriness. And I'm glad you made it to the live stream as well. And goodbye, Susums. So, yeah. Thanks so much, everyone. I hope you all have, like, a great weekend. Thank you, Captain Fluffy Paws. Bye, and have a great weekend, and stay hydrated as well. I'll just hang out here for a second. I may as well, like, update this text box in front of everyone. What day did I say, Amber?
February 23rd.
How do you spell February? F-E-B-U-R-A-R-Y? Wow.
E-B-R-U.
F-E-B-R-U?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's U-R, Amber. F-E-B-R-U-A-R-Y?
Yeah.
All right. See, folks, you know, I only went and, yeah, see, thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. It's one of those ones that are hard for me. I always flip the U and the R.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want it to be February, but it's February, right? Yes. Thanks so much, folks, and I'll see you all later.